Play.
Going to see a lot of that, surely. Forceful play from Djokovic into that one-hander of Musetti.
And no hesitation there whatsoever coming in behind that ball.
Little strategic excellence to start off the match.
Yeah, Novak not letting Musetti stretch any of those first couple points, that's for sure. Serve in one ball. He'll love that.
Had a lot of success serving into the Musetti backhand in Athens when they last met. That 7-5 in the third set victory for Djokovic. But you would imagine in moments like this at 40 love with a bit of a lead, it just toggle the direction. Oh, he didn't. Musetti manages to parry it back and then comes up with a little bit of finesse that only he can.
A little precursor for what we can expect throughout the match from Lorenzo. He's just such a talented player with his hand.
Musetti's not won a title since 2022. Once again, tried and tested formula against Musetti for Djokovic. Gets him up and running. Wally Masseur courtside. Wally, is it a little bit breezy out there? Do I see that on Novak's shirt?
Yeah, no, Pedge, we've got the southerly blowing, so it's the usual scenario. The wind comes from the south, it hits the back of the stadium, then it comes down the court. From the end, Novak just served, and it's not a strong breeze, but definitely helping from this end, and you could see Novak there punishing anything that drops short, and that's something Lorenzo will have to watch, his depth. I covered that match with Brad when Musetti beat Taylor Fritz, and it was a tactical masterclass, and I think he needs to do something similar, but somehow he has to do it about 2 meters closer to the baseline than against Taylor. Taylor was just not willing to take that early ball and come forward. Novak will, and you know, it's awfully hard to pass from 4 and 5 meters back behind the baseline, or defend for that matter. So that'll be the key, I think, for Lorenzo. Can he play the same style of game from closer to the baseline?
Love it, team.
That's one area right there for me. Some Musetti at the very end of that point getting pushed. It's one thing to rotate back, but his shoulders were actually leaning back. He was falling away from that ball when he took the swing. He's got to be able to stand up, as Wally said, whether it's his court position or he's got to be able to stand up to that ball and not get pushed from that position.
Shaking his arm out quite a lot here at the start, Musetti. He's been on court 5.5 hours longer than Djokovic. And that was something that Taylor wasn't willing to do, but Novak will not need a second invitation.
Love 14.
Yeah, a little bit of poor execution on the slice from Musetti. He saw Novak coming forward there, obviously trying to keep that down and in front of him a little bit, but I think he's also got to be a little more explosive on that ball and be able to come over the top. Felt like he almost defaulted to the slice there early.
Classy, little risky, but he got his reward.
15-14.
The flick at the end, pretty impressive.
T14.
Sharp start from Djokovic.
Djokovic leads by 2 games tonight.
So Brad, right there, exactly what you're talking about with Djokovic. He's such a supple athlete. He's got so many things that he can do. So we talked about Musetti against Taylor Fritz. All of a sudden, Djokovic just shows us a different class of return off the backhand and a willingness to come in. You know, 2 things that Taylor probably struggled with. So it's just a massive difference and a massive challenge for Musetti, how he can find a way through the defences of Djokovic. I mean, that return was an absolute cracker.
Love 15.
See Novak serve quite a few early on in games out to the forehand side of Musetti on the second serve to keep him kind of honest, so they can't necessarily gamble and run around the kicker serve down the juice and get the forehand into play as the return. perfect counter to the deep position on return.
Absolutely, and so far, Novak looks sharp as a thumbtack. Just executing extremely well. I don't know if it's just me, but I have the feeling that Lorenzo is a little pensive right now, trying to kind of like see if he can apply strategies that he's maybe thought about, but he doesn't look quite as energized as what we saw early on and throughout the match against Fritz. Just looks a little bit more flat, maybe, like I said, pensive, trying to think about what he needs to be doing here against Novak.
You did right, Brad. He looks to me like and I know he has, but he looks like he hasn't warmed up properly. He looks like he's not quite in top gear. Novak missing a volley that he won't miss too many of. You know, when a boxer comes out the tunnel and they're sweating and they look like they're ready to go, he just looks like he's going to take him another 10 or 15 minutes or so to hit top gear. Just those little extra steps needed. Not quite happening yet.
That might be just enough time for Novak to win the first set.
No.
It's playing into a headwind at the moment. It feels Musetti is really not making any impact from the back of the ground. Even when he pulled Novak out, it felt as though Novak hadn't just got back to neutral with the cross-court forehand and actually put him in front. And good use of the drop shot. We have seen a lot of advances already. 16th point of this contest already. Djokovic has been to net 7 times. A couple of good uses of the drop shot. So far, it's the Serbian that's bringing the variety.
Yeah, I think we saw, for me, the biggest thing that Musetti has to do right now is find some more depth in every shot. He's got to carry the ball through the court. We saw him hit a slice earlier that came up just a little bit short. It stays down, but Novak, no hesitation. He hit a slice approach, came back in on that. He missed the volley, but he was in good position.
One thing that Lorenzo and Novak, to be fair, have done well in this tournament is break back immediately after being broken. Novak, of course, only been broken 3 times through to this stage. He's broken back twice in those situations. Musetti has been broken 9 times, broken back 7. Djokovic is back in the front row of Novak's box. He's had a little bit of a flu for a few days. He actually wasn't there in the previous round, in his 3rd round match.
So he might have needed those 3 days off as well.
What is interesting is how quick he's going with his 2nd serve already. He's been kind of putting it in about 160, which obviously is still faster than he started off his career when he started coming down to Melbourne, when he sat around low 90s, mid 90s. Then he went through that period and kind of 2018 after the elbow that he started finding kind of 170k 2nd serves up to where he is. This tournament, He's resided around 160K on average on his second, but he's had a couple in this game in the 190s already.
Oh my goodness. That's why you chase down every ball. Lorenzo just making him hit one more there.
Yeah, I was surprised he took this on the fly. I mean, he was in control. This is great defense, as you suggested, Brad, but that smash going backwards, that's an easy one. This is not as easy as you think. You could see there, ball ducking and falling on him. He dropped his shoulder. Should have let that bounce. Would have landed well inside the service line.
Crazy way to create a break point. Is it fair to say that if there's one shot in Novak's arsenal that he tends to have a little bit of trouble, inconsistency with, it's the overhead of all things?
Yeah, I also think it's because he's got such a higher swing weight in his racket. I think it's a little bit tougher sometimes for him to get the racket head kind of going on the overhead. It's a little bit easier on the serve because you've got a longer swing down below, but obviously on the smash it's much more abbreviated. Oh, it stayed in. Everyone was looking at the net post. It's amazing how quickly we've gravitated towards doing that.
A great addition, by the way. Here we see just, he saw Novak move at the last second, so wanted to just shovel it out there into that corner. A little closer than I think he wanted it for sure.
Not often you see Djokovic break himself, but there was an element about that game that Musetti has got that came from the errors of the 10-time champion. Early days, one shot's not going to define it, but certainly the missed overhead gave Musetti a lifeline that perhaps he shouldn't have had. And maybe he can find something else. This was interesting from Athens, Brad. You'll like this stuff, this sort of stuff you dig into. Let's take a look. More importantly, take a look on the ad side. There's much more of a blend. I thought it was too short at times in Athens on the second serve on the juice at the 65% number. Feel like he needs better length. But virtually every second serve on the ad side in Athens was into the forehand of Novak.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And more balls on both sides to the tee. Maybe thought process of not giving him anything to work with from the standpoint of angle, forcing him to play a little bit more through the court on the first ball. But yeah, those are interesting numbers. We'll see if we see some of that here.
Jose Perlas, who is a world-renowned coach, has come in to help Musetti in December of last year. Simone Tafferini is a long-time coach that have grown together, sadly having to go home. His mother passed away. Damiani Fiorucci, his fitness coach, also sadly not here for Lorenzo. He picked up a stomach problem and was in hospital for about 10 days, so unable to be on site.
Wally, back to what we were talking about before with Lorenzo looking like he wasn't quite fully there at the start. After that break, he jogged to the chair, got up off the chair and jogged back out to start this service game, looking like much more engaged, much more into the whole process right now.
And there's no question, Brad, you know, nerves too. You know, we can't, as good as he is and as many big matches as he's played, I mean, it's a new experience. Pushing to beat, you know, the greatest player of all time. Big crowd, expectation. Just fighting his way through those early nerves potentially.
Wally, you compared it to a boxing match. I feel like this is a boxing match where you're going to see a lot of jabs thrown from both guys. Jab, 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 and then there will be the occasional big haymaker, but they're both...
Yeah, they're constructing points, aren't they? We've seen that from Novak already. Very tactically aware.
Lorenzo got himself got planted just a little early on that ball with his feet and needed to keep his feet moving there just a little bit as that ball was hanging in the air.
I reckon the breeze is only a few kilometres an hour, but it just seems so much easier for the player at this northern end of the court where Djokovic is now to hold his ground and create easier pace. I feel like Musetti's ball speed is picking up just a little bit also.
Advantage. Musetti.
Freer with his swings, a little bit more racket head speed. Again, maybe back to just settling into the match a little bit more comfortably.
Cain, Musetti.
It's one of those matches where you feel as though we're going to get quite a lot of service games like that.
es más lo que te imaginas que la realidad. O sea, está jugando con un poquito de prisa, él te siente más a ti que tú a él, ¿vale? O sea, que ya toca ya jugar tenis, vamos.
Interestingly, out on the Rod Laver Arena, we have had 35 straight set matches out of the 41 played so far. And on the men's side, none of them have gone to 5 sets yet. Maybe today.
Thank you.
That's a pretty surprising stat. No 5-setters on Rod Laver. Crowd's hungry. They want one.
No problem with that overhead. Far harder than the one he missed earlier.
Yeah, he bounced both of those.
15 love.
Wally suggesting that he should have, and he probably should have, bounced that shorter one earlier. It wasn't going to push him back, that's for sure.
That's all those years on the clay court for you. What amazing defence from Musetti. And he's already shown us just how good his defensive lob is. Not a shot you see played a lot these days.
You coached against Jose Perlas?
Quite a few times. I find Jose to be a classy gentleman amongst our coaching ranks.
Had some high-profile clients: Carlos Moya, Albert Costa, Guillermo Correa. Worked a little bit with Juan Carlos Ferrero, Fabio Fanini, Tipsarevic. Oh, yeah. Musetti bringing the magic.
15-14.
The strategy seems sound for Djokovic, but Musetti has an emphatic answer. And that's one of the great shots in tennis. It's also been one of the most modified shots in terms of the grip. Started his career with a very continental grip. Too many slices, he said. And you can see why he changed it. They didn't just come to play, they came to entertain. Musetti moves past Djokovic for the first time.
Musetti leads by 3 games to 2.
I was very surprised to see Novak take that one overhead out of the air. The first one early in that point, and then Musetti, the first lob that he hit was extremely deep in the court. The second one landed virtually on the baseline. Not very often you see 4 lobs in the same point.
I'm hoping that's one of your practice drills with Tommy. I hope that isn't a stone that you haven't, you know, not looked under, Brad.
The high defensive lob.
4 times. I want to make sure that that's on your drill list the next time you go back to Delray.
You know, if you can drop it that close to the baseline consistently, it's not easy for the guy to do a lot with that.
Musetti's talked about the expectations and pressure of coming through with the likes of Jannik and Carlos and being compared to them. It's certainly not been easy for him, he said, to try and find that kind of happy medium, particularly after, of course, he beat Alcaraz in what was the youngest ATP Tour final back in 22 in Hamburg, since Nadal had beaten Berdych in 2005 in Bastad, a couple of teenagers, and he came from a set down, which is a rarity against any of the top players. And then took on his countryman Berrettini in the final at Naples, got the win there. But he has found a very, very happy place to play his own brand of tennis these days. And a court that he was familiar with when he was winning the Australian Open Juniors, but the match against Taylor Fritz was the first time he'd been back out on the Rod Laver Arena since that day.
It's a decently long break.
And these stadium courts do take a bit of getting used to if you haven't played on them for a while.
No doubt. There's no doubt whatsoever. And especially under these circumstances when you're competing against one of the absolute legends of the sport. Something a little different when you're on court with the GOAT.
Isn't this a great match for if you're an aspiring junior tennis player? A great match to watch. You know, the willingness of both these players to defend, and then the creativity, the imagination you've got to have, and then the skill set you've got to have. Yes, it's a power game, but if you can defend, you're in good shape.
Cain, Musetti.
This is the biggest court by dimensions as well in terms of depth and width compared to the other three majors.
By 4 games to 2.
Meaning Lorenzo has plenty of space to
create
and back up if he needs to, which we know he likes to do at times. Kind of employ the usage of his history as a superb clay court player. Apply those skills to playing on this kind of a court.
Base.
Hurt him twice now. Second serves to the forehand. On the deuce side, opening point, Lorenzo taking that return with aggression down the line. No one serves more second serves in men's tennis to the forehand than Novak. Slider to the forehand rather than a kick serve is
majestic.
That's just pretty to watch.
Love the 2.
Shows what a great analyst I am. I said Musetti had to play the same game, but from closer in the court. He has not. He has played from deep in the court, and I think in a strange way, it's messing with Novak's visuals. He's probably hit the net more times, particularly from this end, than I've seen him in a long time. Just the target and the visuals that he's so used to, it might just take him a little time to play with a bit more flight and depth.
Well, it's okay. It'll be the first time you've been wrong, but just don't put an invoice in, but please stay. But I think you're right.
That's a case in point there, isn't it? It's sometimes when it's, for example, when you serve volley someone that's way back, you lose when to split your step. You normally split your step when they make contact, but when they're that far back, it just can be a little unsettling.
Well done there from Djokovic. Needed that one.
15-14.
I think also, Wally, when you stand a little further back as Musetti is, and especially as a one-hander where you can generate a little bit more rotation on the backhand side, just gives him more time to see if Novak's coming in, and he can get the ball up and down shorter in the court if he's coming forward.
But credit to Novak. I mean, if it's the right play, it's the right play. Dropped it short. He saw the opening, not daunted by the fact that he'd missed one previously, backed himself, found his range.
Two picking up where Alcaraz and Dimonor left last night.
Juice.
Absolute right play from Novak to come forward there, but he didn't do a great job with that volley, in my opinion. He was trying to be a little careful with it. Just set it up enough that Musetti got there. It's a little bit lucky that Musetti didn't just clear the tape there. That was going to be a tough ball for him. That being said, grinded his way back to deuce in this game now.
That is special, and that is the danger of opening up the court against great players.
Advantage, Djokovic.
Brad, talk to me a little about the stroke production of Musetti's backhand. It's quite high, isn't it? You can see he was brought up on clay. It's a bit like Tsitsipas, the ball goes up and his racket goes up. When you can fire it through flat and low, you tend to get a slice coming back.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that what you mentioned before, his grip change. I think when you have a more neutral grip that's closer to continental, your unit turn and your take back tends to be a little bit lower. And as he switched over to this much stronger grip, it's much more circular. When he sets the racket in the unit turn, it starts up much more like a forehand would. And then he's able to really generate so much topspin because of the racket head speed as it comes around and circles up through the ball from that position. It's one of the prettiest. Great play from Novak. Again, putting pressure. It's one of the prettiest backhands, one-handed backhands that we've seen on tour for, I've only been around for 30 plus years. And I mean, I love the swing. I think it's really aesthetically pleasing to watch Lorenzo produce that swing.
there was a functionally extinct shot on the men's tour back in February of 24, when for the very first time in the 50 years of the ATP rankings, there was no one-hander in the world's top 10. Musetti's keeping it alive. Dimitrov made a nice cameo appearance last year back into the world's top 10 with his.
Advantage, Djokovic.
Lorenzo's reaction to that shot was a bit of disbelief. Obviously didn't feel like he had missed that ball.
Djokovic keeping himself in touch. And we know how dangerous he can be when that is the case. Musetti with the lead for the time being. It's kind of one of those tough service games that somehow you've got to get across the finishing line, and you give yourself a chance. And when you are so proficient in the return game department as Novak is, Musetti is going to need to be careful, just as these fans are. Some rogue seagulls.
These seagulls, I'm sorry, these seagulls absolutely crack me up every time we see them. Seen them chasing people around. You know, they're a bit scary, to be honest.
Thanks for that.
I think they've created some nightmares for some people.
Time.
Llevándolo tú, ahora ya estás tú jugando, Toma tú las decisiones, eres el líder de partido, va.
Epic end to the year last year. Was so desperate to make Turin, played Athens just a match away. In fact, was match point down in his semi-final against Sebastian Korda in that tournament before having that epic with Novak, who kept him out of Turin for about 35 seconds until they met at the net, and he said, by the way, I'm not going to Turin, so you're in anyway.
How important was that last game?
Time violation.
Love 40
warning,
down.
Mr.
It was the last game with the old balls. Novak knew he couldn't relinquish a double break, and he just dug in. And, you know, he's been to the net 17 times already, so he's identified that as an opportunity, and he's going to persist.
Novak's been given a code violation for taking too long to get into position to return.
As the returner. Different set of rules there also. It's more significant when you're the returner to get that code violation. As the server, you get a warning, and then from that time on, when if that happens again, you lose a first serve. But as the returner, you lose a point.
I'm not going to say that he was going to get there, but there were 4 seconds left on the clock when the warning was given.
Yeah, interesting. You're more observant than I am, because I didn't see that, but I just heard the umpire call, and I looked up from our vantage point and saw that Novak was still on the side walking to his return position. We see Lorenzo there in these 3 points. Backhand there that he stepped up into and took on. A little bit different shape from the ball from Novak, but he He didn't want to give ground on that one. Stood up and took an aggressive swing on that after a couple of points where we saw him doing the same on forehands, taking the ball a little bit earlier, being a little bit more aggressive. I think that's where his variety sometimes in his court position and then how he swings based on where he is in the court position, the shape of the ball that he creates, causes problems for players because there's just so much variety in what he does.
That is the second fairly routine volley that Djokovic has missed today.
Just trying to cup this ball gently. Probably didn't need to be that good.
Cain, Musetti. Musetti leads by 5 minutes.
Saca la mano, Saca la mano.
Eduardo Artaldi, of course, who used to look after Novak in his business affairs, looking after Musetti these days.
Always a fashion statement. We've seen a pretty high number of unforced errors in this first set from Novak. He's at 18 unforced errors for this set. Not a number that you would associate with him normally.
No, but I think it speaks to the fact that he's just taking on a player that's in a very defensive position. He sort of pulled trigger from the back of the court. He's come to the net 17 times already. So he's certainly being the aggressor.
Yeah, I agree with you, Wally. I feel like quite a few of those errors have been balls off of either wing, backhand or forehand, that he's tried to take down the line, creating a little bit more offense.
Dirty love.
Here we go again.
That smash is not an easy shot, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to cut around the side of it and hit it to the forehand 9 times out of 10. But I think even harder than the smash is the defensive lob to get just right. And he does it time and time again, Musetti.
Yeah, he's had that really measured so far. Landing it within a meter or so of the baseline very consistently.
There's the huge advantage of the spin rate on the one-hander. When you can connect with it, you can see how viciously that dropped in front of Djokovic.
And again, for me, that's a little deeper return position. Gives him a chance to see Novak coming forward there. And with a one-hander, it's much easier to create that rotation and get it to drop in front of him.
Cain, Djokovic.
Fine serve, sets up a final chance for Djokovic to get the break back in this opening set.
couldn't give me heads up? Before the warning, you couldn't give me heads up? And, but for me, no, right? So what changed this time? I was looking for my cap, I was changing. You could have given me a heads up as a gentleman and somebody that has been in sport for a couple of decades. Beginning of mid first set, first time I go over, you give me a warning. You think that's fair? I'm not saying it's against the rules because I went over, but you could have given me a heads up, right? You could have given me a heads up. You could have told me, hey Novak, hurry up, right?
Done.
Djokovic just letting James Kothvong know that he was pretty unhappy about the warning that he received prior to the last Musetti service game. Felt as though he should have been given a little soft warning. He was searching around in his bag for the cap that he has now put on his head. And he didn't know where it was. It was brand new because he's just had to rip the tag out of it.
Thank you. Love 15.
How valuable is that, and how valuable might that 2-4 lob 40 game be for Djokovic?
All.
Not saying the opening set's important, Brad, but when Novak has stepped onto the court in Australia and grabbed the opening set, he is 93-1.
It's a decent record. Who was the one?
The one and only, Stan.
There you go.
Little point down the court to Jose Perlas, happy with the strategy. Perlas will be happy with the execution. And Musetti moves ahead by 1 set to love. We always get this snapshot, Brad, of what's happened in the match, and first serve percentage probably a little bit lower than Musetti would like, especially with only 64% of his first serve points won. What he will be delighted with is the 71% of second serve points won. That is a number he would not have expected against Novak, who has this tournament winning around 60% of his second serve return points. So that is a big shift. But what it doesn't tell you is perhaps where some of the erratic tennis has been coming from Novak. What have you noticed?
Yeah, absolutely. It just feels like after those first couple of games, remember, Novak was up a break early on. gave that break right back. And from that point on, there was just a little bit more errors in the game of Djokovic than what we're used to seeing. And I think that, as Wally said, he was trying to create a little more offense, trying to be the dictator, trying to control what was going on. And in doing so, he made a few more errors than what we would normally expect from him.
Good news for Novak will be that he will feel that he can elevate his play to a much higher level. Whether Musetti can contain him then will be fascinating to find out.
Thank you. Please, players are ready.
Just in case you thought the one in the opening set was a little fortuitous, he's done another one for good measure.
Yeah, but I'm also going to say that they've done their homework. I think they've looked at the stats. They've seen how often he serves to the forehand. That's the third one we've seen where he's been out behind a second serve and hurt it down the line.
Well, this is a shank from Lorenzo. He doesn't catch this cleanly. Novak once again coming in on the short ball, as he should. And he actually cried out as the ball was still in play. I guess if Novak had a play on it, he could have called for a distraction, but turned into a clean winner.
It was interesting that maybe he has really worked hard on that forehand return in Athens. When Novak served out wide on the deuce side, he won just 50% of the points, Musetti. It's a fast lob and a fast start for Musetti. There has not been a misstep since he went down the early break in the opening set.
Yeah, Novak looked like he had the answers early on, countering pretty much everything Musetti was doing in that first return game.
I mean, he's got to come in there, right? He has to come in. He's on the service line. He can't retreat. He plays that volley an inch from the baseline, and he doesn't get another hit. It's too good, Musetti.
Yeah, the one thing about the volley there, for me, well, great depth on that ball, but not a lot of penetration. The ball was sitting.
Yeah, Novak presents a fairly square racket face on both the forehand and the backhand. I mean, he sticks it pretty flat. As you say, didn't quite get the bite off the court that maybe a volley hit with more bevel or more slice might have, but I mean, the depth was immaculate.
Better execution there from Djokovic on the forehand down the line. Again, looking to create that offense.
Oh.
And Brad, you know, if your players out there, I mean, yes, Novak hasn't always got it right, and yes, Musetti's hit some unbelievable passes, but, you know, if it's the right ball to come in on and it's the right time, surely you've got to persist. You can't just go within yourself and retreat and play a clay court style game against Musetti. I mean, I think Novak's approaching it the right way.
Let's go service.
No, I agree with you, Wally. For me, tactically, the one thing that I think that Novak could make a little adjustment in is staying in the cross-court rallies a little bit longer. Seems that he's trying to change direction.
Well, there was a little bit more patience there, wasn't it? That forehand, he did change direction, but he flipped it up high to the single-hander. So this is a good response.
Oh.
Good.
Oh, we got a little turnaround from the first set. Novak with the early break in the first. Musetti broke right back, and now we've got exactly the opposite.
Pre-match, you have to prepare your player for the fact that there are going to be breaks against their serve. Going to come at opportune times and inopportune times. For Musetti, with the momentum there, he would have dearly loved to have jumped out, but there's one thing you can bet your bottom dollar on in a match against Djokovic: you are going to get broken at some stage.
We see again there in that point, back to what I was saying before, whether I'm right or wrong, but he played one ball cross and changed direction. I think tactically right now he could just stay a little bit longer, 2-3 balls, try and gain a little bit more advantage in the cross-court exchanges.
See, with the great players, there just seems to be like a difference about them. There's like a calmness or an energy difference, and it kind of just radiates out. There's a calmness about Novak. The win predictor is moving onto the Musetti side, having started with Djokovic.
Ball's a perfect example for me. That's a cross-court ball. That ball's almost got a sign on it that says "Hit me cross-court," and he chose to go down the line from there. He's not in a great position. He's a little bit outside the singles sideline there. The ball is up, going away from him. That's just a tough ball to try and take down the line, but he seems to be very committed to that play.
There's the determination. And once this mode is activated, it's very difficult to stop him.
Some quality shot making from both guys, from all parts of the court.
That's the change of pace that Musetti brings into play.
Juice.
Well, I don't think Novak can believe that defensive slice that skipped off the line. We've seen the defensive lobs pepper the baseline, defensive slice off the line more than once. It's uncanny from Musetti.
Defense. Dot, dot, dot.
Advantage, Musetti.
Just to underline what Brad's been saying about should be taking it cross court, there's about a 5 to 10% sort of shift between the forehand and backhand compared to what he's come in doing going cross court. He was over 50% for his backhand, but there has to be a logic to it. He's not doing it because he's just feeling it.
No, it's got to be tactical. It's got to be something that they discussed prior to the match that they felt was going to expose things from Musetti, but it's not very common. I mean, we all know in tennis, you know, the most common thing is to play cross court. I mean, that's longer part of the court, shorter part of the net.
And as it thrown his rhythm off, because now he's missing the cross court as well. A little bit of a lift from Djokovic getting the break back, but Musetti, who continues to impress in breaking back, having been broken, does so again.
Interesting from Musetti as well. We see he breaks serve there off this missed cross-court forehand, and he went to the towel. He didn't go to the towel, he went to the coach. The towel just happened to be there. It was an excuse, but you don't always see players at the end of a game and on a changeover where they turn and they go to the towel. Obviously going to get some input from Jose Perez there.
Got a good connection already. Can't be easy. Grew up with Simone Taccarino, his low school club. He said he wasn't really a coach, more of a teacher. They've kind of grown together as a partnership, one of the long-term partnerships out on the tour. But Perez doing a nice job so far. Talked a lot about Carlos changing his serve at the start of the season. Of course, Musetti changed it last year. Well, actually changed it at the back end of 24 before the 25 season, went to a much more abbreviated motion. He was like quite long. And then just at Cincinnati last year on the US Open swing, where he said he found a kind of new groove to be aggressive on the hard courts, he actually changed from being a platform, from a pinpoint server, moving the back foot into the front foot to suddenly serving purely platform. You'll see that right now. He's not going to move his feet. Quite a big shift that as well when you've been a pinpoint server to do it kind of mid-tournament, that you suddenly go to a platform serve. He felt as though his toss was getting far too far in front of him, and all the movement with the feet coming up was forcing the ball a little too far into the court.
30 love.
Seems pretty functional on that one. Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, the discussion, you can always have a discussion of platform versus pinpoint. There's some pros and cons to each, but one of the big pros that we see right here for Musetti is the fact that it does create a quietness in what you're doing as you start the motion. Obviously less movement in general. We saw Sinner do exactly the opposite. And he did it just prior to Wimbledon 2 years ago, and with great success going to the pinpoint. Just wide there. It also feeds into what we were saying, or you were saying, Mark, in the break and when we came back, is that, you know, one of the things I love about Musetti and his coach Simone Tattarini is that they have stayed together. They survived a lot. There was a lot of pressure put on Lorenzo as he started to have better and better success through different avenues for him to change coaches, move to someone that Novak still just trying to create a lot of offense, but the pressure came for him to move to someone that had quote unquote more experience on tour, that had been on tour more, but they stuck it out. They stuck it out together. And I think if you look at Musetti's game, I think he's improved in virtually every area of his game in the last 5 years or so.
Cain, Musetti.
The backhand is better, the forehand is better, the serve is better. He's better at transitioning and coming forward. And those are all before Jose Perez came on. Those are a credit to his collaboration between himself and Simone to recognize that he had to improve in those areas, or else he was going to kind of get stuck just being a quote-unquote clay court player.
Tennis coaching partnership's a bit like a marriage at times, isn't it? You want to find somebody that's going to love you at your worst.
I love that. That's a great way to put it, Petch. Never thought of that. I'll have to ask Tommy if he feels that way.
Oh.
Guys, just my 2 cents on the platform serve. I mean, I really like it. If someone said to you, you're at one end of Rod Laver Arena, you've got to throw a ball to the other end of Rod Laver Arena, at no point would you bring your back leg up to your front leg. And the serve is nothing more than the throwing motion. So I think it helps enormously too with the ball toss. It just tracks the baseline, and you put it in the same spot every time.
Musetti right now just tracking everything down.
30.
Is just the spin rate on the forehand and obviously the spin rate on the backhand combined with the sort of Nerf ball slice, is that just taking Novak out of his rhythm?
Well, I think it's also it's forcing Novak to generate all the time. He plays a lot of these other guys. He's got power coming at him, and he's able to play more as a counterpuncher.
40-15.
Oh yeah, that's just not an easy shot to pull off. And one of the reasons why Novak is 29-2 against one-handed backhand since Rome of 2021. Doesn't often lose to somebody with a one-hander. Musetti at Monte Carlo on the clay, and Banja Luka against Lajovic in the quarterfinals in 23, but he hasn't lost to one since then.
Cain, Djokovic.
Needed a bit of tidying up to do. Very close to, once again, getting in a little bit of trouble on serve, but extricates himself for the time being. Musetti, a set and a break. Okay, we were having a little chat about the platform stance and throwing a tennis ball. Brad's got a different opinion here. Well, listen in.
Yeah, you know, it's not necessarily a different opinion.
Yep.
I feel like I'm right in the middle.
Okay.
I'm pro platform, I'm pro pinpoint. And to me, Wally, what you said, there's the difference there is that we're not throwing a ball on a line, a linear direction. We're throwing a ball, if we're throwing a ball, or the racket, we're throwing it towards the roof. We're throwing it at about a 48 to 60 degree angle up. And so if you pinpoint from that position, it's not really going to hurt you very much when you're driving straight up to throw that ball up into the air.
Ocúpate solamente de lo que tienes que tomar decisiones, nada más. No te escuches, no pensar.
He's not shy in getting over there to Jose Perlas and grabbing as much information as he can, because of course today he has to do something different if he wants a different outcome, because he has never beaten a top 5 player at a slam before. Musetti lost all 7 of his previous encounters.
A little bit more tolerance there, Brad, to go cross court. Just one more ball.
15.
Yeah, he went twice there.
Had a better visual eventually when he went line. I think sometimes too, you've just got to create a bit of space to give you that sanctuary that you've got room to go there.
Yeah, he definitely opened the court a little bit more on those cross court balls.
Yeah.
But I think that point also highlights what it is that he's looking to do. We get an idea of what it is that he's trying to do when he's playing down the line more. He's definitely playing down the line more.
All.
craftsmanship of the highest order.
I don't mean to keep beating on this, but the very first backhand that Novak had in that point, again, for me, is absolutely a cross-court ball. He has not opened the court in any way, shape, or form there, and Musetti is just settled right in the middle of the court. He takes a backhand down the line, not even really down the line, and Musetti hurts him on the next ball. They're a little bit different. One, he went 3 balls in a row cross, and the ball that he played to the forehand was played from a much more central position, so he wasn't giving away any court.
Ready for play. Thank you.
Interesting, Brad. Since you mentioned it, Novak has gone cross-court on his forehand and backhand about 15% more. He is, I don't think he can hear you through this glass, but he is definitely recognized
He just
it.
walked to within a foot of where we are. I mean,
he's taking some more of your nuggets.
Maybe someone's got a headpiece in on his team. I listen to you every now and then, Petch, while the matches are going on. I want to get all those stats, great information that you give out.
I feel like I've seen the movie so many times when he plays a rally like that, and I know what the outcome's going to be, that I'm completely shocked when it isn't.
It's a French film version. Sad ending.
So once again, you know, Novak's got that little breeze at his back, and that ball just didn't come on. Didn't come on. He missed a forehand similar just previously in this game. Ball just holding up ever so slightly.
A couple of phenomenal cross-court forehands there during that point from Musetti. Both clipping right near the sideline. Really spread the court out and made Novak have to work to get out to those balls. There we see it. It's amazing. Falling back a little bit.
Game, Musetti. New balls, please.
I kind of like the flow that Musetti's had at times today. Whenever Novak has kind of tried to press him a little bit, it feels as though there's been a really instant reaction from Musetti to try and get a little bit more on the front foot and not get dictated to for too long. He talked about it in his press conference here after the loss to Athens. He felt as though he went out there to play. He went out there to compete, but he didn't necessarily go out there to win the match. And that was something that he was going to really try to put right today. He has had a helping hand to this stage, you feel, by the way that Novak has made errors, perhaps even errors in strategy, which is unlike him. He'll maybe argue it was in the execution, but 27 unforced errors from the 10-time champion is well above his average already.
Please. 15 love.
A little bit more disciplined structure there, building that point. Feel like he's being a little bit more patient.
Si te repite, intenta. Por eso, que si te repite, tira ya.
We learned something else about Lorenzo Musetti today, Petch. He speaks Spanish. Jose is coaching in Spanish. He's not speaking Italian.
Let's for service.
That Novak dominated in Athens was serving into the backhand of Musetti on the second serve. He won about 80% of the points. Today, he has won just 45%. Musetti's done a good job of countering that particular strategy that worked well in Greece for him. Well, the winner's coming cross court will help him, no question.
40G. Thank you. Cain, Djokovic.
He's tracking him.
Musetti again.
Musetti leads.
Straight to the towel. Get a little info. Just a little time away from himself for sitting down on the changeover, but I'm guessing that he feels that's offset by some pearls of wisdom from Jose Perales. It's a beautiful watch right there, Petch.
Is it?
It is. It's a beautiful watch. Lorenzo recently signed a deal with the same company that Tommy is with. Jess Pagula, Emma Navarro, kind of a boutique brand Swiss watch called De Betun. His is really, it's a special one.
What time you got, Petch?
Time.
It's definitely not that brand. I know that much when I look at it. Yeah, I wonder whether that was anything to do with his choice of coaches, the fact that he decided to go with Perlas. He is actually very strong, as we know, in English because he does a lot of post-match interviews and those, but he has conducted quite a few in fluent Spanish in the past, and obviously the conversations, as Brad has said, have been in that particular language, but the language of winning is the one that he is producing the best of so far today.
Love.
83% of his first serves have found the target. 13 out of 18. Not easy to produce that when you have been and are serving against the greatest returner of all time, because there comes a psychological pressure with it. Having said that, when he has missed his first serve in this set, he has not won a point.
Just a feel. In Novak's last return game, you know, he just he got bad on balls and big serves came back. He got them back. Not always with quality, but he got them back. He seems a bit more patient in the rally, as you suggested, and he's definitely going across court more. Brad, you know, just a feel courtside. You know, Novak's, he's an apex predator. You know, you corner them and they've got a little something. This set far from over.
He won't be happy with that.
30.
It's a slower ball again, though, isn't it, Brad? He just he actually spun out of the shot before he'd really completed it. Creating his own pace has caused a few errors today.
That point right there for me, just much more tactically simple from Novak. Despite the fact that he missed the backhand on the previous point on the slice, that point it just looks comfortable. Doesn't look like he's pressing. Earlier on, it just felt like he was pressing with all the balls down the line.
Let's first service.
Big point right here.
— 40-30.
A great response from Musetti.
Cain.
Well, it really feels as though Novak doesn't want to grind at the back of the court. Even the one where he ran out round it and hit the forehand inside in just didn't feel like the right play. I mean, Musetti had good court position. Unless he completely overcompensated into the backhand side, he was always going to be able to get that ball, which meant Novak was going to have to run onto his forehand again.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I feel like he came out tactically kind of countering what we talked about Musetti needed to do, was extend the points, make it into more of a grind, try and make it physical. And it looks like Novak had made a decision that he was going to try and shorten the points and not let Musetti do that. But the execution just hasn't been there. And in the end, if he's not able to hold and get a break, he's going to make it way more of a grind for himself by being down 2-0. The same play we've seen before. Musetti sitting on that
Love 15.
first point, deuce side, second serve to the forehand. Musetti clean return up the line.
Not often you don't see Novak go and chase that. Yeah, that was a
that ball was pretty central on the ad side of the court. That wasn't close to the sideline. We haven't seen that play for a while. That time he went with a little bit more of a kicker. Gave himself time to close. Also forced Musetti, or pretty much forced him into hitting a slice from almost shoulder height there.
30-15. Let's for service.
Wouldn't mind looking at that again in slow motion. It felt as though Musetti could have just pushed this down the line, just given it a little nudge. I wasn't sure if Novak hadn't given that up quite quickly. Yeah.
Thank you.
He went early.
And Lorenzo had all day on that ball. He got to that ball at waist height.
Oh, you touched it?
I touched.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Mr. Djokovic.
Well,
has
that
told
is
us
great
he touched the ball,
sportsmanship.
conceding the points. 30.
That is great sportsmanship. I'm literally a few meters away from where he would have made contact. I did not hear it.
I don't think anyone recognized that he had touched the ball, including Lorenzo. Not that he necessarily needed to, but that'll definitely endear you to the crowd.
40-30. Thank you. Please.
Stop for the first time. Novak has done really nice sporting gestures out there on the court. It's always been the way that he's played in that regard. Always wanted to play fair. Another very famous one was against Stepanek at Wimbledon in 2014 with an out call on a ball from Stepanek, who then challenged it when we still had those days, and it was proved to be in. Novak was given a chance to replay the point, but he said didn't make any difference to the shot I was going to play. Gave Stepanek the point. Started out serving big second serves. He's clearly felt as though there's no future in that, Djokovic. That one down at 144. Musetti's countered the backhand so effectively here in Melbourne compared to Athens. And Djokovic with a whole lot of problems at the moment. Set point, Musetti.
I mean, he's always thinking, though, isn't he, Novak? I mean, we saw a slower serve volley point. That was 198. But he's always trying to outfox his opponent. Try to stay one step ahead strategically. Brave serve volley.
Same thing from a full stretch position there. Novak's one of the guys still around. That ball I expect from Jannik to that same location hit Mach 10. But from Novak, I expect that from that open stance sliding to be a lot of left hand and pull that ball cross court deep.
Second set, Musetti.
He can't miss.
6 games.
He's running hot and running right. Musetti 6-3, second set. Dr. Physio out on court. We did see this in a previous match. He's got a problem with the inside of his right big toe. And that is a significant blister, as you can see, under that padding that has slipped, as has his chances of potentially making the semis here once again. Second serve points won. Big shift for Musetti, who was up in the 70% in the opening set. Novak did make some inroads there. This was the moment, though, that Novak called it on himself. Couldn't even see it on the replay in slow-mo.
No, even from here, even from this angle, it's hard to tell. Yeah, you can see the spin come off of the ball. It was spinning a little faster, and then as he just nicked it, it slowed down a little bit, but yeah, impressive sportsmanship.
There'll be a bit of a delay here as Novak gets treatment once again on what is a pretty significant blister on his right foot, just underneath his right big toe.
You've got to wonder now if that blister was leading to the options, the choices that he was making for a lot of the first set, less of the second set, but still a little bit of a lack of patience in how he's playing. Maybe he just doesn't want to have to grind on that foot.
Yeah, there's been a couple of kind of false dawns for him in this particular match where you feel as though maybe he's just idled the engines and then he's found the right gear that he needs to be into. But to be fair to Musetti, as you just saw with that one-handed backhand down the line, whenever those moments have kind of come, he's found one shot to kind of dent those aspirations for Novak very effectively. And even that final shot on set point just maybe alludes to the reason why Novak doesn't want to maybe open the court as much, because when he does, Musetti is one of those few players that potentially has got the firepower from the perimeter of the court to be able to hurt Novak.
Yeah, I think we know what a great mover Novak is. And Musetti's a similar style of athlete, even the body shape, you know, the strong legs, he's got that light upper body, but Musetti never seems to be in a terrible hurry, but always seems to be there. So he's obviously got the anticipation, a great first step, but he covers a lot of court effortlessly, and that is a nasty blister, and Novak was grimacing. I guess they were putting a little iodine or something on that foot, but he wasn't enjoying whatever was being applied. Just that nice burn. Just what he needs. He's got a 2-set love deficit against Lorenzo Musetti. Now he's got to deal with a blister that has definitely gone through a few layers of skin. And even that will obviously help the blister, the padding and the taping, but then it feels quite clunky in the shoe. It's not ideal.
Yeah, it always feels a bit awkward when you have that in your shoe like that.
It's like having a stone in your Birkenstocks, Brad.
If I had some Birkenstocks, I would let you know I understood that, but maybe in my arm range.
So guys, Novak has a medical timeout. He's apparently got 37 seconds to finish this, but it's not really up to him, is it? I mean, it's the...
There's some pressure on the trainer there.
Yeah,
Stefan.
I mean, the trainer's doing his best, but I mean...
Is it a code violation on the trainer if he doesn't get it
Yeah,
done?
that's what I mean. It couldn't be Novak's code, surely.
He's got a week off the tour. Unpaid leave. I have a sense that James Guthoff's probably going to be a little more lenient here as the end of the MTO comes right now. And then we have a reset of the clock.
Time. Third sets.
Whatever pain he's feeling in that foot, he's going to have to really push through it if he wants to have a chance to come back. He's got a long road ahead of him from 2 sets to love down.
Has of course done that against Musetti, because it was the first time we saw what the Italian could do in terms of producing wonderful tennis. Roland Garros 2021 took the opening sets on tiebreakers against Djokovic and then ran out of steam. And then eventually his back gave out as well. 4-love down in the 5th.
30-love.
Yeah, I think a much different, much more mature Lorenzo Musetti here in 2026. I think given the opportunity, he's going to grasp this and be able to finish if he can get in front in this 3rd set. Or in the match. May take him a little bit longer. Don't expect Novak to really go away. And I'm just thinking about also how this blister on his foot, it's just another, what it takes to get through 7 3-out-of-5 set matches at a Grand Slam to actually win. So many things have to fall in place for you.
One thing's for sure, Musetti's been practicing the high defensive lob. He could land that thing on Mars.
I feel like he could land it on a dime.
It's such a hard shot to play. It's such a hard shot to play with this sort of accuracy.
What do you think's going through Novak's head as he's backpedaling?
Yeah, here we go again.
Cain, Musetti. First game, 3rd sets.
Has come back from 2 sets to love down 7 times in his illustrious career. Most recent time against Laszlo Gera at the US Open back in 2023. The most famous, of course, was against Federer at the US Open back in 2011, saving a couple of match points along the way. 6 out of those 7. He was the higher ranked seed, which he is today. But in most of those other meetings, apart from the one with Roger, he was substantially the better player before they stepped onto court, and somewhat surprisingly found himself down 2 sets to love.
Thank you. Players are ready.
Still somewhat surprising today, I feel, but we also have to give a ton of credit to Lorenzo Musetti, the way he's producing his game. And the bottom line is, you only have to be better than the other guy on the other side of the court on that day. He can't determine how well Novak's playing or what's going on with his foot. Credit to him to be producing the kind of tennis he needs to be 2 sets to love up.
Tom.
Dirty love. Let's for service. Forty love.
Wow. Well, that's where his game's been at.
40-15.
Novak opting to play cross court off of defense this time, and Lorenzo just sees the opening up on his front side. And that's just a beautiful backhand. Squared the racket face perfectly to the ball.
Cain, Djokovic. One game all.
Interestingly, felt as though there was a little more intensity and pace in the walk from Djokovic to his towel after that last game. Although he did just hold his lower back at the end of it, right in the middle. So hopefully nothing wrong there. But obviously, if he is going to make a move, it's got to come soon.
Great depth on that return.
Love a team.
Yeah, we saw Novak doing this even in his first round against Pedro Martinez, where he was stretching one foot up on the knee of the other, stretching the hips, stretching the back.
Love 30.
The beautiful thing about best of 5, and the hardest thing for all players, is to be able to concentrate consistently throughout the course of it. And there will be valleys for most of the great players. There's a few less valleys, and they're not quite as severe. Is there one coming for Musetti here?
It's been interesting. We've seen an early break in both of the first 2 sets. It's looking like we're going to get another one right here.
Oh, this is interesting.
Cain, Djokovic.
Musetti went for the run, kind of slowed up. Whether
Djokovic leads by 2 games to 1.
whether he has felt something or whether he felt he just didn't want to invest any more in that game. He looked destined to lose anyway. We're unsure, but Djokovic has made a move.
And the trainer's back on Musetti's side. They've got a few subplots going on here. Looks like he's got something in the upper leg, right side. He definitely did not break hard to that last ball. Wally, you alluded to it earlier. Djokovic is an apex predator. He smells blood in the water. Everything can change.
Yeah, I guess until that very last point, I couldn't see it in Musetti's movement. Well, this is pretty unbelievable, really, isn't it? I mean, Novak's ailing. We see him stretching. We know he's got that big blister on the foot. He's down 2 sets to love. And Musetti, he just played it seemed like a casual game, a lack of concentration. That was a forehand that went long. But there is something wrong, and we saw it on the very final point of that game. It's called for the physio right there. And when he was dragged wide to the forehand, he wasn't coming back. Tournament doctor. Well, this looks more concerning than Novak's ailments.
100%, Wally. I was just thinking the exact same thing. Novak's looks really bad. You don't want to have to look at that before you're going to eat dinner. But Musetti's is definitely more concerning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Musetti is now receiving.
Had a couple of retirements last year. He's had 9 in his career in match. Of course, he had the thigh problem against Alcaraz and against Cain in Beijing. And we might be back in the same spot for a problem that he already knows about, which is why he looked so despondent as he was running out wide on that last point.
Yeah, if it's in that same area, Petch, you would probably know that better than me, which leg it was and where it was during those tournaments.
This one is on the right. The one against Alcaraz was on his left.
Okay, so something different potentially.
We got a lot of runway from here. This is not a short sprint to home against a guy that is just limbering up on the other side.
You have to assume that Novak's feeling a little bit the same. He's like, you know what? My foot hurts, but that looks worse over there.
Well, you'd think I mean, time is running out. It's 1:48. You'd think they would apply heat and then some strapping, which doesn't necessarily help. It's almost a placebo. You feel a little more confident. But if that's a little tear,
it's going to get nothing but worse.
No, I can't see him winning this match.
Yeah, Novak's going to start looking lively here. One of my favorite stories out on the tour back in the day, you guys would have probably known this one. Chris Lewis, Wally, that coached Ivan Lendl for a while. Ivan played some epic match in Germany over like 3.5 hours in about 95-degree heat. A little bit of humidity just to toss in. Came off and the boys were in the locker room. Ivan came in and said to Chris, right, let's get the running shoes on. And they go out of the club, round the back of the club into the woods, and he just sat on a log for an hour. But by the time he went back in, the guys were like, oh, this guy's just played a match that I could never even thought of surviving. I would imagine that Novak's going to throw a little bit of that down there, looking, even if he is feeling a little bit sore, he's going to make sure that Musetti is going to see somebody that is ready to go for the next 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, a bit of psychological warfare, you reckon?
For sure. I think there was more of that in your day, don't you?
Well, I knew Chris Lewis well, and I knew Van pretty well too, so that story does not surprise me.
Didn't run a meter. This guy may not have to run too many more meters. It really depends on how Musetti pulls up after this.
No strapping, that's unusual. I thought for sure there would be some thigh strapping.
Time.
Adios and Aglia. His coach Boris giving him as much support and advice.
Ready for play.
Subplots ready to be drawn out here.
Oh, he's done.
Petch has made a call early. He did not move to that ball, though, Petch. I mean, it's... Man, oh, man.
Wait, please.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous talent, but I mean, you just can't win a tennis match hitting those type of shots consistently against Novak.
No, if this was tight in the third, we were getting to that 4 or 5-4 stage, maybe he could pinch it, but yeah, I agree, you can't slap your way to a win from here.
You still have to stay locked in if you're Novak.
Yeah, that had some juice.
Yeah, return. And that's what he's going to do. He's obviously, I mean, that's what you do. You can't move. You have to take an enormous risk on balls from odd, crazy positions at times. But
Well, I always find, and you know, Novak, of course, is the most seasoned of campaigners. That was 128. But you can't just roll the ball in. You have to just keep going and play each ball on its merits. Don't play the injury. Don't expect a certain set of circumstances. Just keep playing as you are. But sometimes that's a bit easier said than done.
Ah,
40-30.
Scandalous get from Djokovic. There was a little bit of that the other night against Van der Zandschulp, who was just ripping from the back of the court and everything seemingly landing in for a while. And this is it, guys.
Cain, Djokovic.
He almost started walking towards the net there, Musetti, after the return. This is the 1,400th match of Novak's career.
He can, of course, get treatment at end change. But it sounds like he's had something similar before and he knows the outcome.
what a disappointment.
Thank you.
See if he can push it all on the serve.
Novak had to give out the retirement last year in the semi-finals of the Australian Open against Zverev. Hadn't had one prior to that since the 2019 US Open when he had to retire against Wawrinka in the round of 16.
Love 30.
Sixteenth time he has been in the quarterfinals here in Australia, Novak. His longevity is a big part of his legacy.
$15-30.
Ball.
15-40.
And
it's over.
This is it.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, due to injury, Mr. Musetti can no longer play. Game, set, match, Djokovic.
A bittersweet moment for Novak Djokovic. It's almost as though it's written in the stars, isn't it, this tournament for him. He needed to get through to the semi-finals and the finals, trying to play as little tennis as possible. Menchik giving him the walkover in the previous round. And now 2 sets to love down. Musetti having to retire. That is absolutely heartbreaking for the 23-year-old Italian. Five straight major semi-final appearances for Novak at 38 years of age is an astonishing record. And he has reached his 4th Australian Open semi since turning 35.
What a turn of events. It just came out of the blue, really, in that game. And especially after seeing Novak go to the sideline and call the trainer. And then the very next game, just so disappointing.
Novak will do the duty with Wally Musa.
Well, Novak, congratulations, but you of all people, being the warrior that you are, you don't like to see what happened to Lorenzo. It's a tough way for him to exit the court.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know what to say except that, you know, I feel really sorry for him, and he was a far better player. I was on my way home tonight. Don't know what to say. I mean, this kind of things happen in sport, and it happened to me a few times, but, you know, being in quarters of a Grand Slam, 2 sets to love up, and being in full control, I mean, so unfortunate. I mean, I don't know what else I can say. I really wish him a speedy recovery, and he should have been a winner today, that's no doubt.
Novak, in this particular match, you came out very aggressively. You were coming to the net, serving and volleying. You were taking the ball on the rise. I couldn't help but notice, obviously, you yourself received some treatment on the blister on the right foot. Was that part of the plan to shorten the points, or you just recognised his defensive position and you wanted to take advantage?
Yeah, it worked. The strategy worked very well for the first couple of games, and then it changed completely. I had like 4 winners in the first 2 games and no unforced errors, and then the rest of the match I had another 4 winners and probably 40 errors. But you know, that's what Lorenzo does to you. You know, he makes you play when you think the point is finished. It's not. Obviously, a little bit more of wind today, swirly conditions, and you know, when you attack him, you don't know what to expect. Whether it's going to be a passing shot, cross court, or short slice, or he's going to go full flat in your body, or just a looping ball to my weakest shot, which is overhead. I think we've seen that today again. And yeah, what can I say? I mean, I tried my best, really. I mean, you know, I can't complain. Yes, I mean, blister here and there, you know, nothing really majorly bothered me. I just wasn't feeling the ball today, the first couple of sets, but that's also due to his quality and his variety in the game. And yeah, I'm just extremely lucky to get through this one today.
You talk about not feeling the ball. You actually had a walkover in the previous round, and we were sort of surmising that maybe that helps you. But do you think just being out of the rhythm of match, day off, hurt you a little bit today, coming out and feeling the ball?
To be quite frank, I have no idea at this stage of my career what really serves me, what doesn't.
You're in the semis.
I mean, look, I had a walkover in the 4th round, and today should have been beaten, and then 2 sets to love down, and I get the win. So I mean, I'm gonna double my prayers tonight for sure, and gratitude to the God and really giving me this opportunity once again. So I'm going to do my best in a couple of days to use it.
Well, Novak, you always put yourself in the position. A win is a win is a win. How do you spend tonight? Do you watch a little bit of the match tonight, or you just relax and switch off?
Yeah, love you too. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. I'll watch a match. You know, for sure. I'll watch that match, and of course with my team, and try to get some insights of both of these guys' game. But you know, nevertheless, my main priority remains my game. You know, I played really well until today, throughout the whole tournament. Today, I definitely am not happy with my performance, but you know, it's another day in the office, and hopefully in a couple of days' time I can come out and being at my best, because that's what's going to be needed.
Well, Novak, we look forward to seeing you at your best. Another semi-final at the Australian Open.
'54th major semi-final. He knows exactly how to win them, and he knows exactly how to prepare. He has been given, Brad, a second life.
Yeah, he's a cat. He's got extra lives, and he just used one in this match. Lorenzo Musetti, as he said himself, was in complete control of that match, and we were a bit dumbfounded here watching. You know, Novak had just come off of having the trainer out to look at his foot, which looked really bad, actually looked bad. And if you've ever had a blister or you've seen those as a player,
it looks like it's got worse.
Yeah.
Since the previous match, when we saw him get treatment in match. I have to say that it is surprisingly bad once he took his shoe off after 3 days off.
Yeah, it didn't look very good, for sure. And that's not going to get better in the next 2 days. So he's going to have to help that out. But, you know, here he is getting treatment on that, and you felt Musetti was really in complete control of everything that was going on. He comes out and just plays a couple points, and all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, we're going completely the other way. And you have to feel, as Novak said, for Musetti, terrible situation in the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam where he was playing such good tennis. But Novak, as he said, the tennis gods looked down on him and found a way to get him through the match. Wasn't playing his best tennis. It'll be interesting to see if he can find something better to produce in the semi.
Agony. an internal ecstasy for Djokovic that he has given himself and has been given another chance for number 25 at the majors.
Men's singles quarterfinals. Please welcome to Rod Laver Arena from Italy, Lorenzo Musetti. And their opponent from Serbia, 10-time Australian Open champion, Novak Djokovic.
That was something that Taylor wasn't willing to do, but Novak will not need a second invitation. Classy. A little risky, but he got his reward.
Novak looks sharp as a thumbtack. Oh my goodness. That's why you chase down every ball. Oh yeah. Musetti bringing the match in. I'm sorry, these seagulls absolutely crack me up every time you see them.
That's the second fairly routine volley that Djokovic has missed today. Musetti moves ahead by 1 set to love. It's a fast lob. A fast start for the 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7.
Italian craftsmanship of the highest order.
Second set, Musetti.
You can't miss.
6 games.
He's running hot and right, running right. Musetti 6-3, second set.
Well, this is interesting.
Musetti went for the run. Arna slowed up. Whether he...
Djokovic leads by 2 games still.
You have to assume that Novak's feeling a little bit the same. He's like, you know what? My foot hurts, but that looks worse over there.
Oh. 15-14.
And
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, due to injury, Mr. Musetti can no longer play. Game set match, Djokovic.
A bittersweet moment for Novak Djokovic.